So Noorain gave me a very descriptive bio. It literally says, YouTuber, your tech bud codes. That's all I got. So yes, I know he's a software engineer. He's very funny too, so you guys might get some jokes tonight. And
more jokes. Skip the top, more jokes.
Okay, please give it up for Noorain.
All right, so cool. You know what? I know there have been 3 crazy presentations, and you guys have been taking it like a champ. A round of applause just for you guys. Yeah, do it. Wake up for me. Yeah, come on. Cool. Thank you. Sweet. So, say what? Pikachu. All right. So the idea is, I mean, oh shit, this is really loud. No, it's fine. I'll hold it like that. Okay, so yeah, I'm on the JavaScript agent train completely, even though I'm a Go developer. So I'm not a TypeScript guy, not a JavaScript guy. So if you see my code and you laugh, I'll literally cry. But what I want to share instead is how I think about agents instead, right? We have a lot of tools. We saw a great one today. But I'm a kind of guy who looks at Next.js and goes like, you know what, I can build it. And then I build it and then I realize, oh shit, this was hard. But now I appreciate it, right? And understand how it works. So I'm that kind of a guy, you know? So let's just dive deep into the covers of what agents do or how it works. So it's gonna be a bit of a journey, right? Just follow along with me. Just bear with me. Sounds good? All right, and you know what? A lot of these opinions are literally mine. So this is like some of the research or some of the observations I've made. So I'm sharing a lot with you guys, right? So I want something in return. Okay, what do I want? Throughout the presentation, I might raise my hand. I'm gonna ask a simple, don't you laugh.
You say this every time.
So people don't get it. See, they don't know it. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna raise my hand and I'm gonna ask a simple question. I wanna hear a resounding yes. I wanna hear a yes. Okay, I raise my hand, I ask a question, I wanna hear a yes. Are you guys with me?
No. Yes.
Stupid Elon Musk, I hate him. Okay, cool. So we're gonna talk about agents, and I'm really bad with the eggs, so I've laid my eggs all over the place. You're gonna see it very easily, okay? Cool. So we're gonna be building agents, and we're gonna see the philosophy behind it. There is gonna be some code towards the end, but BB said that no, you cannot show them code, they won't understand. I'm kidding. I don't have enough time to show you the code, but I have something towards the end. If time permits, we'll go through it, okay? Yeah. So what happens is there are so many agentic frigging tools out there. Dude, I just didn't know where to put those eggs, god damn it. But okay, so there are so many agentic frameworks.
Okay, I'll check in a second.
You know what, I'm just walking outside.
Keep going.
Okay, so there's so many eggs out there, so many agentic frameworks out there. The question comes, and like BB mentioned, I'm a YouTuber, I stream on YouTube, so a lot of AI content out there. And one question I keep getting is, which agentic framework should I use? So, but how do you compare it? Like, how do you compare agentic frameworks you don't even understand? We need to break it down. We need to break it down into components, assign some roles and responsibilities to each component, and then we can start evaluating that, oh, you know what? My requirements fit here, so I want an agentic framework which does this well or does that well. Make sense? You guys with me? Okay, now it's gonna start ramping up, okay? Cool. So this is essentially the anatomy of an agentic framework, okay? It's based on a simple principle that LLMs, vectors, embedding models are science. It's not human beings, it's not intelligence, okay? It's science, right? And because of that, the way you talk to them is an art. It's an art form or a skill, whatever you call it, okay? Productionizing it requires engineering. That's my thought process. May or may not agree, doesn't matter. How we get there is important. Sounds good? LLMs models, that's the science part. We don't do that crap. Prompting is the art form. We really have to be a little creative with these models. But productionizing them is engineering. That's where we put our engineering hats on. Sounds good? And this is trying to encapsulate those areas. So these are works of science, the models, right? So all your models are science. I don't know how the transformer architecture works. I'm not going to even get into it. We don't talk about it. We just use those AI models, right? Straightforward. But the next thing I spoke about, using these models, is an art form. Like the way you prompt models changes things, right? I'm not sure you've heard of chain of thought and things like that. You know what? Let's take a step back. How many of you have built apps with LLMs? Raise your hands. Okay, that's not a lot of hands. Okay. How many of y'all have used agentic apps? Like, how many of y'all have used a tool like Cursor or regularly use Cursor? Or any AI coding assistant? Raise your hands. Almost everybody? Guys who don't, start using it. Exponential returns on that one skill. Guys, you need to use it. Sweet. So I'm going to take Cursor as an example for all of this. Have you noticed whenever you use Cursor, the more descriptive and refined your prompt is, the better the output? Right? You don't get it right in the first try. But the more you use Cursor, the better you start getting at it. So it's an acquired skill, right? Prompting is an acquired skill. That's what is, oh my God. Nobody wants me to give this presentation tonight. So prompting is a, all right, I get it. So prompting is the layer you use to talk to these models. What's the responsibility here? To use natural language to talk to the models, get a natural language response back, or get a structured response back. Fair enough? Natural language response back or get a structured response back. Pretty straightforward. By the way, whenever we say tool calling, MCPs, all of that good stuff, those are nothing but just structured responses. Right? We're all at the same page here? And how you get those perfect, beautiful, reliable, structured outputs is the prompting part. Nothing to do with agents. It just prompts. Right? So what is the agent then? If prompts is how you talk to the model, what's the agent? Because the thing is, these prompts are indeterministic. You never know if it will always work right. Right? For example, let's take Cursor for example. Use the agent mode of Cursor. Yeah, give me a yes. 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 Okay, actually we haven't. Oh my God, guys, you need to try new things. I don't know, which example should I take then?
What was the question?
Have you used the agent mode of Cursor? Oh my God. Oh, all right. This is scary. This is scary. Let's take a simple example. Actually, I have a demo as well, but I don't want to get into that right now. That'll be really complicated. Okay. Let's say you have a prompt to book, let's take a simple example. You want to book a ride home and you use Uber for it. Sounds simple? What do you need? A destination, a source, and maybe the type of Uber you want, like Uber XL or whatever options there are, right? Correct? What if you just say, hey, Uber, get me a ride home? Can you make that structured output out of that? You cannot. Why? Because I did not mention what type of the car do I want. I did not even mention my source. So you cannot fulfill that request. So technically you can never get the perfect structured output here. Why? Because the input is incomplete. So the model now has to take a decision that, you know what, I need to ask for more information. So you started with an input, hey, book me a ride home. The model said, hold on a minute, I don't have all the information. So you go back and say, hey, can you give me the additional information? Where do you want to start from? Right? And then the model says, okay, I think now I have the entire information and I can go ahead. So you see what happened there? There was a loop. There's a loop. That's what we call hell. God damn, what the hell is this? Okay, I need to keep a finger on this. That is what we call the reasoning loop. That is what we call the reasoning loop. So an agent is the layer responsible for implementing reasoning loops. So it's your business logic sitting on top of LLMs to make the answers complete. Like in that example, right? So whenever we say an agent, we think normally when we define agents, we're defining it in terms of intelligence. So we're scaling complexities. Like again in Cursor, I thought you use Cursor, right? So in the Cursor example you saw the agent was first reading all the files. So somebody took the decision that, you know what, let's read this file. It got the file back. Then it said, you know what, let's read another file. It went back. We need to read another file. We go back. Oh, we need the package.json. Go back. Oh, you know what? I think we need an MCP server call. Cool. Go back. Now we can generate the code. That is scaling complexity. That's scaling intelligence. So your agent is doing things which a single prompt could not. That's how we normally think of agents, which is right. I mean, I'm not saying that's the wrong thing, but you're essentially building agents to scale intelligence. Make sense? So that's one thing of an agent, but there's also reliability. The second example I took, the Uber example, it's not really intelligence, you're just getting a more reliable output. Because if you have an incomplete input, you can never give the right output, right? So you're kind of scaling the reliability there. So the way I usually end up defining agents is it's essentially that engineering loop around LLMs, which is gonna make it easier to go to production. Just making it reliable. Whether it's making your complex tasks more reliable or whether it's making a simple structured call more reliable, that's totally up to you. That's essentially a loop, okay? What do you do in that loop? You might do data prep, like you might read some source code. You might do some validations, like, oh, the output you gave me, is it the right schema? You know, things like that. Like Uber needs source and destination, but source needs to be SRC, but the models use the word source completely. That's a data validation issue. So you need to do validation. You might even need to call tools and things like that. That's an agent. That's an agent loop. Does that make sense? You guys are with me? Sort of?
Yes.
Yeah? All right. Oh shit, I totally forgot about it. Thank you so much. Okay, cool. The second part is interacting with the real world, like we were getting information and things like that as well. Those are tool calls. The way the LLM interacts with the external world, the LLM actually does not interact with the world, right? It's just a model. There's no terminator happening yet. What it does, it gives a structured response back. Based on that, the agent decides that, oh, you know what, I need to read I need to call the weather API or whatever. Make sense? Sort of? Yeah? Yeah? So that's a tool call. So the business logic, which was deciding that, oh, you know what, based on the structured response, I need to call this tool, that again comes inside the agent. We're just trying to define these roles, okay? It's really important to understand this. Prompting was trying to get the LLM to actually give us responses. The agent loop, oh, god damn it. The agent loop was responsible to make it more reliable and to actually do things in the real world. I wish I could go there. Sweet. Now, sometimes your agent loop gets really complicated, right? Like the for loop I spoke about, that could get really complicated. I think we saw kind of, we kind of tended towards an example in the previous slide as well. I mean, in the previous speaker's presentation as well. You need some workflows, kind of, right? You need to do stuff in sequence. So not exactly like a loop, but you need to do things in sequence. And you know what? In JavaScript world, we've been doing that since ages. Heard of trigger.dev? AWS step functions? Ingest? Restate? Temporal? No? Okay. Those are orchestration systems which have been there in the software engineering space forever. So workflows is a solved problem. The point is the agent just needs to use it. So it needs to make the decision that, you know what, I need to run a workflow. The workflow is defined by a human being. Each step within it could be an agent by itself, or the workflow to run could be decided by the agent. Are you guys with me? I know it's kind of getting a little complicated. A little bit, losing you there? Yeah? All right, you know what? We'll leave it here. We'll just leave this here, okay? We're gonna leave this here. I know this gets really complicated. If you've heard of things like MCP, MCP sits somewhere here. And if you've heard the word A to A, that sits somewhere here. So whenever you're talking to an agent over the network, you use something called agent to agent, Google's agent to agent. Whenever you hear the word MCP, you're essentially talking to tools over the network, right? That's the different tools out there. Yeah, you know what? We can leave this. We can leave this here. Just one suggestion, actually 3 suggestions from mine. I usually just plug it in. The smaller the agent, the better. Design agents which are, did I hear a kid? Design agents which are in the smallest scope possible. So like a weather API, it just gets the weather really well. You know, it does the best job possible to get all the input fields required to make sure that it can call the weather API the best way possible. right? But let's say you want to make it better, and you want to say that what if it decides the wrong Vancouver? There are two Vancouvers. Apparently, there's a Vancouver in the US as well. I have no idea. There is one. So it could decide the wrong Vancouver as well. So you might need another agent which reflects back on it. Does that make sense? You have one agent which does weather. You have another agent which verifies whether the weather was of the right place or not. Now you have a master agent on top of them, which is saying, you know what, first call this agent and then call this agent to verify. You're getting it? So these are composable. So agents are not just calling prompts. Agents are not just calling tools. Agents can be calling other agents. And that's where the orchestration parts comes in as well. Because if you're calling a lot of other agents in like a huge sequence, you need orchestration. All right. I won't get into the orchestration piece because I think we've not explored that area yet, so we can skip it. But orchestration is something you'll definitely need when you get into something called human-in-loop workflows, long-running workflows, and things like that. No, we're just going to skip that. You want to see this in action instead of me talking? Yeah?
Do it.
Yeah, let's do that. So you did not see that, okay? All right, hold on. Let's take the example. Where is that? Hey, BB, just let me know about the time, okay? Let's take a simple example of prompting. So whenever you're prompting, I said prompting is an art, right? So how do you practice prompting? I can write JavaScript code. I can write my prompts within my JavaScript code, and then I can run my JavaScript code every time I change the prompt, right? Right? Sure. But that's annoying. Wouldn't it be better if I had something like this, where I have a prompt here, I have a question here, then I have some kind of an interface which shows that, hey, this is your system message, this is your user message, this is the input shoved in, and the sample input is coming from my test case. And now, when I want to change my test case, like instead of France, I want to go with...
Noor, can you zoom in?
Oh, it's going to be really hard. Can you guys see it better? I won't be able to see it. Okay, I'll go through this again. So I have a function here. Okay, I have a function which takes an input. It's using Llama 3.1, 8 billion. It has a system message, it has a user message, and then it's taking that input and shoving it in here. And then I have a test case which says, what's the capital of France? Right? And then I can see what the system message was, what the user message was. And then if I run it, I get my result right here. It's Paris, apparently. Right? But let's say we want to make it a little bit more advanced. Because in JavaScript, we prefer if things are structured, right? Because how do you extract the word Paris from this response? It's just hard. So what do? We make interfaces or classes. So let's say class city. And what I can do is, oh my God, typing with my left hand is hard. I can say I have a city. You know what? VS Code, I'm going to go with it. Wait, why is this giving me an error? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, and then I'll just say that, okay, I want to respond with the city. So instead of responding with the string, I'm going to respond with the city. And I'm just going to pluck in something which might seem like a mystery right now, which doesn't matter. But that is what CTX. Oh, thank God. And now if I run it, I get it in a structured way. This is so much easier to iterate, isn't it? It's just a good developer experience. Art forms need to be quick. They need to be fast. They need to be easy. And you need specialized tools to just do the prompting part. Most agentic frameworks I've seen, they kind of do prompting and agents together. So within the agent declaration, you'll have to provide it system messages, instructions, and things like that. Pydantic AI, almost every agentic framework does it that way. But what if I want to iterate on my prompts? What if I want to try different prompting techniques? You know what? I'm going to give you just one more example. Okay, this is going to be a hard one. I'm sorry, but a lot of the agentic principles can only truly be explained in complex examples. Otherwise, you don't really need agents. But let's say I have a slightly more precarious example where the user is going to give me something like, hey, you know what? I got my groceries, and it's a task management app. So the agent is supposed to decide whether I need to add a new task, get task, or mark a task as done. The user has not even got done telling me what he's doing here. He just said, I got my groceries. And you know what? If that user is like me, he would definitely misspell grocery. Right? So the agent not only has to understand what the hell is happening here, it also has to figure out that, okay, based on the fact that he's already gotten groceries, it implies that he's done something, which implies that we need to mark something as done. Does that make sense? Now, if we obviously have like a system prompt to do precisely that, I won't be getting into it. But really quick, this is how it looks like, sort of. So this is my system message that, hey, you know what? Action will be unknown if you get invalid messages. If the user has done something, mark the task as done. If the user wants to do something, say you want to add the task, respond in this. So just give me an intent which can either be add task, list task, mark task as done or unknown. And then you know what? Give me step-by-step reasoning before giving me the final answer.
You might get.
So I'm asking the model to think before it answers. So what does that look like?
Did you have a chance to eat?
That looks like, I hope this works. Oh, thank God. See, the model is thinking to determine the user's intent. Let's analyze, identify key phrases. I got my groceries, so it already did the spell check. Then it says determine the action. I got indicates that the action has already been completed. You see, the model is thinking through before getting the answer. And then towards the end, it gave me a JSON back, which says intent mark task is done. So what did I do here? I used something called chain of thought reasoning. I forced the model to think. This is not an O3 model, okay? It's an 8 billion parameter model. So I forced the model to think before it answers. And then I was like, give me the final JSON after you think. What does this mean? This means that an 8 billion parameter model can make cognitive decisions, right? Without this, it would be really hard to make an 8 billion parameter model reliable. You see what's happening? This is magic, because the cost of using GPT-4o versus Llama 3, I'm running Llama 3 in my closet right now.
What do you think?
So yeah, but now I would have to write the code to extract this myself with my own 2 hands with the Pikachu t-shirt. That's not happening, right? And what if the model goes crazy? Because I don't trust Llama 8 billion. What if the model does something like this? Don't one second. Don't use double quotes.
And then
Typing with my left hand is hard.
That's why I always go like a throat. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Save.
oh yeah, I have it. Yeah.
Yeah, you see this?
Sounds good.
Intent is not in double quotes.
Yeah, I have to.
Anybody who's seen JSON knows this is the wrong answer.
Yeah.
Correct?
After
And this happens a lot. Imagine you're outputting code. So while putting code in a JSON block, code usually you write in multiple lines, right?
It's just
But fitting code in a JSON string is very hard. Imagine writing all your code in one line. I dare you to do it. No Charizard or Pikachu skills is going to get you there. It's hard. So what if the model actually uses multiple lines to do that? Your JSON breaks. How do you handle things like that? It's hard. These are hard problems to solve. You need a JSON parser which is smart enough to first detect the right JSON block, because there could be multiple JSON blocks. Not just that, correct the malformed JSON and fix it. That's complicated. And I'm still just talking about prompting. I'm not even reached the agentic part. You're getting how complicated the prompting problem can be, especially when you're working with cheaper models, which you should be, because, unless you're like Jeff Bezos, in that case, you should give your money to the government or something like that. Why are you giving it to OpenAI, right? But because of the tool, the magic tool that I'm using, this is the output I get. This is the output my code gets. Do we like this more or do we like that more? I like this more. And this is just not an answer which you're really hoping and praying and you're really pleading to OpenAI saying that, hey, OpenAI, please get me the right answer or my child will die. I don't know how many children and grandmas have died because of this prompting exercises at this point. This is coming with me with simple instructions, just suggesting that, just think before you answer. As simple as that, right?
Faster.
How much time do I have?
0.
Oh, okay, cool. Just one more thing and I'm done. Cool? Does that make sense? Are you guys with me?
Yes.
I'm just highlighting the prompting part of this entire exercise. I don't even have time to get into the agentic part or the orchestration part. What I'm trying to highlight here, it takes a lot of thought process to get to the agentic. And unless we try to re-implement Next.js, we will never get it. I'm not claiming that I can write this JSON parser. I'm too dumb. I wear a Pikachu t-shirt. That's not happening. But now I can appreciate it. And now I know that, okay, I need a tool which understands that frigging JSON parser. The tool of my choice is Bamel. Guys from Seattle. Amazing. Crack team. Love them absolutely. I've got videos. I've got like tons of streams on them at this point. Does that make sense? You guys are with me? One last example, otherwise BB will cut my throat at this point. I see your eyes, BB. I see your eyes. Wait, did you just do this? Okay. Okay.
Do you have any slides left?
I don't have any slides. I told you I'm not making slides.
Do you have any eggs left?
I have some eggs.
Okay.
Oh, I have some slides.
Okay.
Okay, so you know what? Because we're running short on time and we can go back to it. Whether you agree with the anatomy or not doesn't matter. Whether you agree with my prompting style or not doesn't matter. What does matter is how I got there. The discussion it took to get there. Because the discussion, the journey is more important than the destination because agent is still an evolving team, evolving space, right? So we have a Discord community where we actually get together on a bi-weekly basis and talk about these things. Okay, so if you want to be part of the discussions, help us figure these things out because this agent anatomy is not my only decision. Actually, Ashaya sitting right there kind of helped me build this because he was part of those calls as well, right? So that's what we do on these calls. We try to figure these problems out and look at it from a deeper perspective. If you want to join it, you can just scan this thing and you get a Discord. You'll hear some giggles and you're wondering why the hell are there giggles right now? And it's because stop. Okay. It is kind of, it's not my fault. First time looking at people being interested in the slide just because of some goddamn eggs. There's some eggs here.
Is there any more?
There's one more. Bingo. Okay. Oh, guys, this is my LinkedIn. I'm a content creator. I talk about AI. I talk about software engineering and things like that. If you're building something cool and you think the world needs to hear it, I would love to lend my voice to you. I stream every Tuesdays. This is my LinkedIn. Just reach out to me, and then I would love to work with you to see how we can collaborate and take your stuff to the world. Sounds good? All right. Sorry, I missed the agentic part. We don't have time. We can do it later. Clap for me.
Are you taking questions?
Oh, sure. I don't think there will be questions.
Ask.
Are there any questions? Yeah. I know, sorry, I didn't show any TypeScript code. There was a lot of code. I just didn't get to it. Yeah, sorry.
How do you decide what agentic framework to use? Like there are lots, like
Can I just show one more thing? Please, 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 please. It answers a
Just
question.
go. Just
Okay.
2 minutes.
Not even 2 minutes. So that's a good question because we saw one agentic framework. I'm going to show you another agentic framework, something I've made with my own 2 hands. It stands for not overpowered, but probably erroneous agents. Stands for nope agents. The name gives it away. It answers everything. Am I going to add features for you? Nope. Do you really think you should be using this in production? Nope. Do you need an agentic framework? I'm going to come back.
Yes.
Answer that for me.
Yes.
Why not? Sure. Yeah, I mean, the point is, once you understand what, once you understand what agents are, I'm so sorry, you can actually build one yourself in like 2 hours if you like use Cursor. I'll give you one example of some code that I wrote, and it's gonna be really tricky. I'll need to like
Faster.
Yeah. Just you made me zoom up my screen so much.
Lower.
So we have like a function. At the end of the day, your agent is just a loop, right? So I have a function here which does that classify intent, the same prompt which you saw earlier, right? Which gets that structured response. So the user gives me a user message. Then I have a for loop. The for loop says, you know what? Take the user's message and try to decide the intent. I get the intent here, the response. And this response, by the way, is all type safe. So if I hover over it, you can see it's either going to be one of those 4, which we saw, add task, mark as done, whatever. And then I can just do an if statement. If the if statement is like, if the intent was list task, then you need to make sure that you give me the filter as well. Because it's an 8 billion parameter model, guys. It can mess up. So if it did mess up, you know what? Push something to a messages array. So there's like a conversation history, we saw memory, right? So just push something to your messages array and run the prompt again. So this time, the model will not just get the user's message, but it will also get this message. So the model has context, has more context to give you an answer. So I just implemented memory, I implemented retries, and I implemented validation in a simple for loop.
Are you defining the retries yourself? Or?
That's my agentic framework part, which I built for myself. The point is you can build one of your own. I have a reference one you can check out. But yeah, I have my agent framework called Nope Agents, which you can just pass it that function. It also has some inbuilt things for you, which again, we don't want to get into it. But here you could define, you define the retries here. So an agent is not just a function, it's a class because it does a lot of bookkeeping. It needs to check how many tokens were used, what was the cost associated with it. So it does a lot of bookkeeping stuff, retries, blah, blah, blah. So in my case, the number of retries will be configured by the caller. So the caller decides that, oh, you know what, you have a budget of 5. So you can only run that loop 5 times. We spoke about that as well. That 5 gets passed to that function. And then that function, you just use that as your for loop. I mean, your for loop max count. It's just a function. I'm not saying this function will take you all the way. The more complex your logic gets, the more difficult the for loop will become. And it gets really complicated eventually. But if you boil it down, it's just a for loop. Sorry. Any other question? Yeah.